structure. And can you just brief us about this book and what you said?
All right. So thanks for having me here. Great to be here. What a buzz here. It's really nice, really exciting to be here. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, I am actually a business consultant, a management consultant, with 20 years of experience as well. And I've been in the corporate world as well, so totally 30 years of experience. Last 7 years I've been doing management consulting, and a lot of experience and a lot of insights that came through these consulting engagements gave me the inspiration to write this book, in the sense, where are organizations going wrong in implementing management models like OKRs, OGSM, etc. A lot of organizations are doing it today, and but also I want to let you know, as much as they're doing it, there's also a very low success rate of OKRs, right? So I was very curious to understand why there is such a low success rate of OKR implementation, not just in India, even globally. It's as low as 20 to 25% success. So I wanted to understand why, right? Where do people go wrong? What are those blind spots in the organizations? What do leaders need to do to make this a success? So these learnings, a lot of research, a lot of studying that we put into the whole process, the culmination of that is this book.
And can you start why this book cover page?
Oh,
With
yeah. So, I mean, there's a funny story to this actually. Initially, this book was actually focused on OKRs, OGSM as management models, as growth models. So there is a lot of material available online if you look at it. When you do a simple search about what is OKR, there's a lot of data, there are a lot of information available out there. And most of it is misleading, and there are a lot of misconceptions around this particular model. So I wanted to talk about it only from an OKR perspective, but then I said no, that is not going to solve the problem of the information overload about this model that is out there. So I said, okay, so it was supposed to be OKRs reloaded, like Matrix reloaded, and that's why you see the Matrix, the theme. And the words also are so close to what happens in an organization when you do a management remodeling or an organization transformation, like mindset, agility, collaboration, entrepreneurship, startup. So there are a lot of these elements that I speak about in the book. So that's how even the title and the intent of the book transformed from just talking about OKRs as a management model to actually talking about how to grow and scale an organization. And that's why the name, the growth scripture. And why scripture? The word scripture has a very significant, it's significant in the sense, a scripture is, it talks about postulates. It talks about not just some theory or something from the top of our mind. These are tried and tested principles, right? So that's the reason the word scripture.
Just now you talk about OKRs and OGSM. So what is your metrics about this concept? Can you highlight on it? Highlight it?
Okay. So the concept metrics comes within the purview of OKRs for sure. How do you measure something? That's where a metric comes. When you're able to quantify, when you're able to have a number in something that you're measuring. That's where the metrics come. But that comes much later. OKR as a model first talks about the strategic imperatives, which are aligned to the vision and mission of the organization, and from which you derive your strategic imperatives. And once you design your OKRs, and the reason I use the word design is because I also, help organizations do their OKRs using design thinking principles, design thinking methodologies. So you use design thinking to design your OKRs, and then you decide what are the metrics that you want to use to measure that particular outcome that you're looking for. For example, we are talking about financial OKRs. We talk about what you want to achieve, the outcome that you want to achieve, And to measure that, in one particular quarter, you focus on a metric like revenue. The second quarter, you can focus on a metric like the bottom line, the profitability. And then the third, you can focus on something like market share. So there are different metrics for the same OKR. And what is which metric you use when? Well, that is a decision of the leadership team.
And also you mentioned a lot of analytics and disclosure, a lot of data. So how difficult was it to combine the data from different sources?
It wasn't difficult as much as it was time consuming. The reason is there's a lot of research, almost 4 to 5 years of research that has gone into creating this content, right? Which means you have to speak to people, you have to take their feedback, see how. So this is also contains the outcomes of projects that have done for many clients, right? In fact, there are case studies in this, right? Of live OKR projects, how it has worked successfully, and how these companies have been able to sustain. Because many people drop OKRs after first 12 to 18 months. Absolutely. They don't sustain.
Ma'am, we have a specific chapter on Roots Plus and 5 factor success formulas. So would you like to highlight upon it? What is the growth?
Yeah, growth sutras. I took the inspiration for this word from Chanakya's Arthashastra, right? A sutra is a principle. It's something that doesn't change with time, place, or circumstance. Similarly, with growth, your environment or the ecosystem that you operate in may change, but the principles of growth remain the same. Right? It's a life cycle that a growth in an organization. Everything that grows dies, and everything that dies can get renewed. Right? It can get it can regrow as well. It can take a different avatar and regrow. That's what growth sutras are all about. How do you create sustainable growth story? As an entrepreneur, as a corporate leader, that's what growth sutras are about. They are principles that don't change with time, something that are tried and tested and can be adopted very easily by our organizations. They're like the building blocks.
And what is your idea for the culture elements in a working environment, in a working setup? How is it important?
Very important.
Growth of the company.
Absolutely important. A lot of people misconstrue OKRs to be a goal management system. However, OKRs are not just goal management system; they are actually an organization transformation system. It's a great model, a management model, which means the culture of the organization is super critical. And this is what leaders should drive. It's not just about writing some objectives and key results and goaling, in the organization. They have to pay attention. What is the kind of nuances that are happening? What are the dynamics in the organization? Are the people aligned? Are they working towards, are they thinking like entrepreneurs, right? Entrepreneurs in an organization. They have to think like entrepreneurs. That is a culture, and that culture takes time to set. So culture is a super critical element of OKR success.
Collaboration and agile system in an organization. How do you think that the changing time the organization needs to change itself to collaborate in a time system that you are able to decide? So what's your idea that how should a group environment set up or a business model set up should change itself and changing times?
They have to change. Like I said, growth. Growth is actually a life cycle. It's a circle of life, right? So just like it's a circle of life for all of us as human beings and for every living being on this planet, so do organization. Organization is an organism. Organization is not just the walls and structures that we see here. Organization is people like you and me. We make an organization, right? Which means you have to be prepared to change with times. So we talk about agile, right? A lot of people think agile is just a software management mechanism. It's not. It is, But that's not what the totality of agile is all about. Agile also means you need to have agile organizations, agile organization structures, agile networking, mechanisms in the organization, agile mindset, right? And this is something that the leaders have to drive. This change and this transformation is something that the leaders have to drive. And how do you create this? First of all, go to the root of the issue. Do the right hiring, right? You hire the right people who resonate with your organization's vision and your organization's culture. So that's how you create agile organizations.
Ma'am, as you mentioned, you have 30 plus years of experience in this journey, so I'm sure you must have come across certain mistakes, or you were a part of certain mistakes. So, would you like to tell our viewers about it, or some mistakes which shouldn't be repeated?
Oh yes, I mean I can give you, I'll divide the answer into two parts. One, as a corporate leader who worked in the corporate with several organizations like IBM and Samsung, etc., for about 24 years, 24 years. One is putting yourself into the trap of thinking, oh my God, I'm a woman, I find it so difficult. So this is something that I would request every woman to look at and not fall into those gender traps. I have done that mistake. Oh my God, what do I do? Is it going to be? No. There are a lot of aspects of an organization growth and how you can grow with the organization, where you need to come out of from under the so-called glass ceiling. The glass ceiling is a myth, right? So I urge all women not to bother about the glass ceiling. Second, specifically with regards to work, I think one very important aspect of growing in an organization is to be learning. So we get into this trap of thinking that okay, I have now so many years of experience. Now what? And then everybody wants to get into people management, right? People management is something that it is all about relationship management. So those who are looking for success in their professional, life, they have to focus on relationship building. How do you build good relationships? How do you continue your learning process? We can learn till we die, right? Learning never stops. So that is something that I always feel that organizations and people should look at. Organizations also should encourage and create the learning culture. From an entrepreneurial perspective, one thing that I would urge entrepreneurs to consider is never to look at entrepreneurship as a destination. It's a journey, right? You need to think like an entrepreneur even once you reach your pinnacle of success. Even if once you become successful, you can't stop thinking like an entrepreneur and start bringing in archaic processes like erstwhile big, large organizations. Why? Because you look at Fortune list, right? The Fortune 100 or Fortune 500 companies. The first 20 companies in 2000, we are at 24, right? 2014, you see the first 20 companies. And the Fortune list today, you see the first 20 companies. Tell me how many of those companies are surviving, right? Success is not it's not meant to be taken for granted. Growth cannot be taken for granted. Scale cannot be taken for granted. So these are the mistakes that organizations, entrepreneurs should avoid. And how do you do that? There are a lot of principles I discuss about in the book. So
One fact you mentioned is that 90% of the startups fail or do not continue after 18 to 20 years. So, how do you think a business can sustain itself or scale itself to a larger audience?
yeah, great question. In fact, what I suggest is for organizations who it's not just about OKRs. Okay, it's not only about OKRs. Even if you're not doing OKRs, you will have some goal management system in your organization. How do you sustain this? Right? Why do organizations fail in implementing different models or in programs? Program management is widely talked about but grossly mismanaged function in an organization, right? People don't know how to manage programs, and OKR is broken. Everything is actually, it needs to be program managed. Project management, multiple projects, program management, right? It's an umbrella. So what are your management principles, right? When you, for example, let's take OKRs for example. OKR as a program, how do you implement this program? It's because starting something is easy, sustaining is where the challenge is, right? So we should not do something that we are not prepared for. So what I urge organizations to do is, before starting, check out what I call as the OKR readiness or transformation readiness. If you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on several parameters, where do you stand as an organization? So without doing this assessment, if people get into uh, implementation of OKRs, it is bound to fail. It is bound to become static after some time. That's what I talk about.
And ma'am, your book is very well divided into subsections, part 1, part 2, part 3. So for a very new reader who is not aware about the concepts you are relating, so will it be helpful for them?
Absolutely, absolutely. And though this was written, the book is for entrepreneurs, specifically. OKR is a very pervasive, framework, a concept that is used by many organizations. So anybody who is looking at improving their team, building their collaboration, better execution in the organization should read this book.
Let's talk about your publishing journey. So how was it? Was it difficult? Was it easy? How was the whole compilation process? How many months did it take?
Oh, it didn't take that much time. Yes, there were some ups and downs, but I think it was fantastic the way the whole execution happened. Uh, if we are sitting here and talking about it today, that speaks for itself, right?
And how do you feel like your business is paid at 1
Oh, I'm very excited. I flew all the way from Bangalore to be a part of this event, and looking forward to touching more and more entrepreneurs and help them with the research and the work that I have done and I continue to do.
To summarize it, we have focused on diversification, growth, and sustainability. Any other message which you want to leave for our viewers? Any last message or any message which you want them to hold upon when they come into this entrepreneurship?
Great question. What I want to say is, if you read my book, the OKR, the actual execution part of OKRs or doing any kind of a project, a management project in a company, it's the middle part of the book. There is a preparation stage and there is a sustenance stage, right? How do you prepare for something like this? So that's why I divided the book into 3 parts. How do you prepare the pre-implementation and the post-implementation? All the 3 are important. Just do not do the research about OKRs on the internet and pick up content from there, because that is one of the reasons there is 85% failures, right? Do not cut and paste OKRs from the internet, and do not underuse the power of OKRs by just doing goal setting through it. There's a transformative experience also that is built into this model. And that's what I urge the readers, the entrepreneurs who are going to read this. Consider that. That's what I want to do.
Ma'am, I would request you to uncover this book for us.
All right. Thank you. Great to be here. Great experience. Yes, let's do it together.
Can you please show it on camera?
Yes. This is
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
With this, we open this down for Q&A session if there are any questions from the audience. Do you have any questions? How was the reaction from your family when your book was out?
She's here, my daughter, and she's been such a great strength, and support to me. Everyone's very excited about this.